Ladies and gentlemen, Norway Chess 2023 is getting real spicy. Welcome back. It's round number 4, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through multiple different storylines, including a new number 2 ranked chess player in the world, a man who is absolutely on fire. I will show you the games of Hikaru, I will show you the games of Magnus, and I will give you an update on the overall standings. Today, a very big and important thing happened in the world of chess. Magnus Carlsen shaved his beard. Now, this is a big deal. He's had some facial hair for quite some time, so we can calculate the metrics of how he performs with and without a beard. I feel like this is like what, major news stations would do based on LeBron James. This is currently happening in the National Basketball Association. 2 teams are in the NBA Finals, but the media is still talking about LeBron. So, Magnus's opponent today was Gukesh, very strong Indian teenager, and actually Gukesh defeated Magnus in the Blitz tournament before the event. Gukesh began with an Italian, knight f6 played by Magnus, and relatively boring stuff that I will not really bother you with. Magnus played the move a5. This is a preemptive holding back of the white position. Gukesh castled, bishop d7. Bishop d7 is certainly not a move. I mean, it is, but I think in general that if black is going to play this setup, black really should be playing for g5. If this bishop is coming out to h4, this is kind of the thing that white is prepared for the most. Magnus thinks for 6 minutes and plays bishop d7. Gukesh immediately plays the move knight to a3, and Magnus just takes. Gukesh takes back, and now Magnus plays this, and Gukesh has to think on his own. And it was at this moment, Gukesh spent 20 minutes. Now, the move rook b1 in and of itself is not something that you need to spend 20 minutes on, but this was Magnus's attempt at getting Gukesh out of his comfort zone. And he said as much. I am not putting words in Magnus's mouth. Magnus said in the confessional booth, which is this thing they have during the games, the players can go and they have a private area to record things to the public. Magnus said, the guy is really well prepared, so I figured I would be a little bit worse, but at least I would get out of his preparation. Magnus gives up a very decent bishop to damage white structure over here. Gukesh plays rook b1. This move is probably not worth spending 20 minutes on because it's a very natural move. Magnus definitely had something in mind and virtually instantly played the move rook b8. I mean, literally without, any hesitation. 30 seconds is hardly any hesitation at all. And now Gukesh plays bishop b5. This clearly was Gukesh's idea. Did he have to play bishop b5? No, he had a lot of options. Could have played a4, could have already played d4 because this pin is not really doing too much. You can't take on e4, so bishop to b5. And now he does this, and it's very clear that he wants to play d5. It's also very clear that if Magnus takes on d4, Gukesh still has d5. And if you play something like this, I can actually just sacrifice. Like, my position is so strong that all these different things are coming in, bishop c6 and so on. I'm also threatening take, mate. So position looks very promising. Magnus plays bishop g4, take, and now we're going to have a lot of pieces fall off the board. Pawn takes pawn, bishop takes knight, rook takes rook, queen takes rook, queen takes, and now knight d7. If Magnus had played here, he would have gotten a completely losing position. This would have been under fire, and this, and this, and this, and this. So knight d7 is played, and this. Now, Gukesh is a pawn up. But he has double day pawns that are not really impressing anybody. And queen f5 can threaten a couple of things here, right? Rook d1, all these different ideas. Gukesh has several pretty ambitious approaches. Thinks for some time, and he plays something that isn't as accurate. Like, again, lining up here is what the computer liked. Just in general, rerouting this way. But queen e2, okay. And now bishop here. But now this gives Magnus enough time to create counterplay here, and then create just all the counterplay in the world, right? Rook, knight, queen on the b file. And what happens is we get all the central pawns gone. Gukesh is still a pawn up, but that's his extra pawn. It's not particularly impressive. Bishop e3, and so on. Rook e6, and this knight is hanging out here, but you may ask yourself, right, the bishop had to be defended, so we attack the queen. More pressure here, and Gukesh takes. I mean, Gukesh did not have to take. He could have come back, but it really seemed like this game, he was just trying to keep Magnus at bay, and he does not have a good pawn structure. Magnus gets a pawn back, and Gukesh is like, but I won't lose, which I gotta tell you is definitely a legitimate strategy, but I won't lose. Also, he might win. Like, this is a very, very decent way for black to lose this game, is to accidentally end up in a losing king and pawn endgame. This is not lost, but it's very annoying and it's very close. So queen d8, and around this moment I thought, all right, well, Magnus is just gonna win this game with black. I mean, right, it's Magnus. Like, that's what he does. This is literally how he beats people. He just takes a while, and Magnus very slowly, very methodically was advancing his pieces, his very mobile pawn structure over there, threatening mate. Look at this, 2-on-1, and he got really close. And actually right here was the moment in the game that after some 55 moves, it was a very close advantage to being winning. The computer wanted queen e5 check here to try to either push the king back and allow black's king in, or to play g3, after which queen e2 and queen d1 wins this pawn. Now, clearly, Magnus didn't go for this. Either he did not see this whole sequence, or he thought this is still a draw, but he is a pawn up. But instead of that, he went here. He did not do that. He did not play queen e5. He played queen d2 instead. And that was his chance. And he ended up giving up the pawn and trying to create some checkmate threats. And he tried, and he tried, and he tried. But despite all this, that pawn made it all the way down. And Gukesh fast enough with his counterplay. And this game, after some 80 moves, ends in a draw. And you might feel bored. Well, I got news for you. Don't be. We got more chess. Gukesh with white again. Magnus with black again. Gukesh up 3 minutes on the clock. This game was crazy. This game was a crazy game of chess. It was an Italian. Again. And this time it was a6. Not knight bd2. Friendly reminder, in the Armageddon portion, if you're very confused about the time or anything like that, white has 3 extra minutes, but if black makes a draw, black wins the game. So black gets 3 less minutes, and this is how points are determined in Norway chess for the standings. If you're just joining, you don't understand what you're watching, well, you'll be fine. Queen e7, a4. Light squared bishopless position. White wants to play knight e3 and so on, and maybe b5, and maybe d4, and all this good stuff. Take, take. This is the position. And Gukesh wins a pawn on b5. But the thing is, his rook on b5 is going to be very uncomfortable. It can always be trapped as long as I defend the bishop. The a file is just beautiful. And life is good. I'm very happy. G3, knight d7, and Magnus anchors in the bishop. He's going to play c6. He's going to win Gukesh's rook. Sensing this, Gukesh plays d4. The idea is that if you play c6 right away, I'm just going to give up the rook. Then I'm going to go here. And after the dust is settled, I have 2 pawns and a bishop for a rook, which is equal. Your king is weak and you have very big weaknesses. So actually, Gukesh here is asking some serious questions to Magnus's position. He plays c4, gives this up, and continues hammering away. Gukesh is just taking the fight to Magnus Carlsen in this game. Knight d7. And Gukesh has a fantastic position. Not only does Gukesh have a fantastic position, he's crashing in. I mean, Gukesh is calling the shots here against Magnus and doing a fantastic job. He is almost winning. If knight e5, bishop e5, you can't take because that's a fork of the king and the rook. I mean, Gukesh is on the verge of being completely winning against Magnus Carlsen. Magnus plays rook a2, and in this position, Gukesh does something I don't really understand. In this position, Gukesh can just play queen d3, or queen d1, or even queen c4. But Gukesh gets cocky. And he sacrifices his queen. He barely even thought about it. He sacrifices his queen for the rook and the knight. And his idea is these 2 passed pawns. And the knight hitting the rook. Is Gukesh winning? Is Gukesh losing? Is Gukesh a psychopath? What is he doing? Knight f6 e5, look at this. Is Gukesh winning or losing? What is going on in this position? Queen d2, f3. Everything is defended. This is nuts. This is insane. Queen b4, just h3, and he's gonna hide his king. He's gonna push his pawn and hide his king. Is Gukesh winning or losing? Damn it, what is going on? Black plays king e6. The pawns are blockaded a little bit. Now what? Gukesh plays rook c1 looking for this. Magnus defense. Gukesh plays knight e4 attacking the pawn. The pawn comes forward. Gukesh plays knight d6. The queen is now cut off. Knight f7 ideas. He gives away this pawn to win the pawn on c4. So knight d6, c3. Magnus says no, but knight e4 and the pawns come off. And Gukesh is still playing for a win potentially. I know you can't do this right away, but I'm saying you want to get into the 6th rank and take these pawns. The only thing that Magnus has is the 1st rank. King d8, rook c6. Here comes Magnus. Gukesh kicks him out. Rook c2, solid. Rook d2. Position is good. Bishop back to f2. Magnus has 4 seconds on the clock. Folks, are you seeing this? This man Magnus Carlsen has 4 seconds on the clock. Bishop g3, rook a1, e6. Gukesh is going for it. He's going for the win. Queen c1, bishop d6, king e6. Magnus takes the pawn. Gukesh makes a run for it. The knight is guarding everything. Is Gukesh winning or losing? h5. Oh no. Magnus hangs knight g5. Oh my goodness. Gukesh can just come back or play rook d5. Rook d5 check, king g6. Knight e4 back by Gukesh. But Gukesh plays here. Fork. And the game is over. Magnus Carlsen wins. Close. Oh my goodness, what a game. I mean, this man nearly sacrificed his queen and defeated Magnus Carlsen. That was unbelievable. So Magnus wins. Magnus wins, and my friends, that's not the end of the story. We had another absolutely massive result today. Not just for the tournament, but for world ranking, so stick around. Alireza Firouzja, Fabiano Caruana, 2 of the players that are having tremendous success in this event. Fabi plays a French. Fabi looking for a fight. Fabi had the French played against him in the 1st round of the tournament when he played against Magnus. Well, now he plays Magnus' opening. I mean, it's not Magnus' opening, but Fabi playing the fabulous French. Isn't it fabulous when Fabi plays the French? All right, I'm going to stop. Classical French. e5, knight d7. This has all been seen before. Now, in the Magnus game, we had a6. That's what was played in that game, followed by some queen b6 stuff. Fabi plays take and queen b6. This is one of the variations where you try to put some pressure on this pawn. In many lines, like for example, white can play a3 here. You can't take because the queen gets trapped. But there is queen d2, just giving up this pawn, queen a3. And in this position, I am familiar with rook b3, I know is some line. And there is also a line bishop b5. I think bishop b5 has been very, very trendy as of late. You know, there are some screaming children outside of my window, and I cannot tell if like somebody is. I don't know if y'all can hear this, but this is like pretty crazy. Like I think there's either 10 kids or one extremely loud one, and yeah, they be yelling. I guess it's Saturday. Kids be getting turned outside or whatever. Anyway, knight b5 is the move that Firouzja chooses to attack this queen on a3, queen a2, knight c7, and he comes back. You'll notice that black has spent no time, and Firouzja has spent a very limited amount of time. Clearly in this variation, white is deliberately giving up 2 pawns on a2 and b2, but it's very difficult for black to make any moves. Black can't castle, right? Knight c5, Firouzja plays bishop d3, take, and Fabi plays bishop d7. Now, if I were to ask you, what is the most natural move in this position for white? Most natural. No, I couldn't get the crack out of my neck. The most natural move by far is castles. It's just castling. And then continuing some attack. Firouzja here plays a move that's kind of crazy. He plays knight d6. And he spent some time on that move, and Fabi was like, okay, bishop takes. And What if I just go here? Fabi is up 2 pawns. If Fabi trades all the pieces, he's going to be winning because he's up 2 pawns. And the entire, like, element of White's position that makes sense is the pieces in the attack. After this move, I think Firouzja just really overestimated his position. And Fabi just plays f6. And the idea of f6 is a solid central barrier and a little bunker for the king on f7. Alireza takes on c6 check after some 20 minutes of thought. Plays queen a5. And just is ready to walk his king. In fact, he is the one checkmating. It is Fabiano Caruana who is checkmating Alireza. It is not, and it is not reverse. And also, Firouzja cannot castle anymore. And you may be asking yourself, isn't queen a8 check winning a rook? Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. It is winning a rook. In fact, Fabiano planned this entire thing back here. B takes c6. Queen a5. Yep. The whole thing was planned. Queen c2. Queen e2. He planned the whole thing. Fabi gave up a rook. Fabi gave up a rook. Fabi's going for mate. You castle, mate. You go here, mate. Alireza Firouzja is up a full rook. But his rook can't move. And his other pieces can't do anything. And this queen's not threatening anybody. The queen needs 2 moves. And I got news for you. It doesn't have 2 moves. Fabi just plays c5. See, if Fabi didn't play c5, queen d8 would have been a problem. But Fabi plays c5 because now after queen d8, you just play queen e4. You take. Here comes the bishop. Brutal. h4 played by Alireza. And takes. Takes. Check. Takes. Check. Takes with check. 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 Fabiano Caruana just did his best impression of a vacuum cleaner. This man said, let me clean up all this garbage. Let me grab the bishop. Let me grab the rook. Let me grab this pawn with check. Let me grab this pawn with a check, forcing your king back. Let me check you again into another check. This man has the walkway, the Hollywood Walk of Fame right here. Look at this. And Alireza Firouzja resigns as his queen is trapped in the corner. And Alireza is not going to save this endgame with black having 5 extra pawns. Fabiano Caruana is back up to the #2 rated player in the world. Damn. And he did it in style. Damn. Meanwhile, you know who else is cooking? Hikaru. He drew his game against Anish Giri very quickly with black. They went to an Armageddon. Hikaru played the Berlin because he's playing black, right? And this is the mainline Berlin. Like, this is the endgame. This is the opening that killed chess. h3, bishop d7, bishop e7. And this is just like this opening that's an endgame with rooks and minor pieces. And black essentially says, you gotta beat me. Well, Anish did his best. He centralized all his pieces. He played very nice positional chess, putting his rooks in the center. Right, and he's trying to poke at the dark squares, but look at the time. Hikaru confident, nice and easy. King g7, absolutely equal position. Bishop rotating backwards, rook to centralize. Anish trying to make forward progress. Look at Anish, just every piece getting involved. h4, look at this. b5, Hikaru tries to break on the other side of the board, but he's safe with pawn to c6. But now here comes Anish on the dark squares. All right, he's going to try to infiltrate on the dark squares. Bishop e6, g5. Anish taking life away from the dark squared bishop, but Hikaru's just sitting there in his bunker. b4, oh. Now Hikaru's looking to trade that knight. Now Hikaru centralizing the bishop. Uh-oh. Trade. Rook a4. Hikaru asking questions. And here comes, look at this. The pendulum. The infiltration from both sides. Here comes one rook. The other rook's coming down as well. Hikaru dancing, dancing, dancing. He knows Anish can't make a draw, so Anish sacrifices a rook, but here come Hikaru's rooks. Gets it down to a rook versus knight. The king is going to arrive. One pawn is going to fall. Another pawn is going to fall. A third pawn is going to fall. And it was in this position, after 70 moves, Anish Giri resigned. Hikaru doing well, Magnus winning some matchups, Fabiano Caruana cooking the tournament. My friends, after 4 rounds of action, these are your standings. Fabiano Caruana is up to 10.5 points, bro. 3 wins in classical chess, 1 win in Armageddon, 10.5. Hikaru is in 2nd place. Magnus is in 8th. Now, a couple of wins in classical and Magnus is back up there. But that's wild stuff. This is a crazy standings table. Magnus he's got to catch up, and they have played 4 out of 9 rounds. The tournament is halfway done, and Fabiano Caruana is cooking in the kitchen, and it is spicy. Chess is better when Fabi's cooking. So I will see you back here tomorrow for the 5th round. Get out of here.